Continuing on, we have Aaron, pronouns are he, him, in New York with a question about philosophical naturalism. So welcome, Aaron. You're on with Paulogia and Matt.
Hi, I'm a longtime fan and listener of y'all and first time caller. I had a question about, if you'll pardon the twisted phrase, my walk with epistemology,
Yeah,
making sure that's right.
go for it.
My premises are, if all of religious claims are fallacious or unsound, then there's no need to further accept them. If I'm presented with something that appears to be the supernatural, I can turn to David Hume's suggestion of it's either a delusion or I'm being hoodwinked. And because of these two things, and every time that we have attempted to look into the supernatural, we have found that it isn't magic. Therefore, I think I'm within reasonable boundaries to say that I can mince through a practical existence of life and be a philosophical naturalist.
Okay. So you are both, as far as I can tell, very right and very wrong, all in little doses there. Because, so there's philosophical naturalism and methodological naturalism. Philosophical naturalism being the philosophical position that the natural world is, in fact, all that exists. Methodological naturalism is the position that the natural world is all that we currently have the ability to investigate. And so we must act as if the natural world is all that exists. We don't get to appeal to things beyond the natural world until such time as they're demonstrated to be real. You don't get to have candidate explanations of ghosts did it or gods did it or demons did it until those things are part of our understanding of the natural world. So when you say, is it okay to use philosophical naturalism as a practical framework? Yes, and that's called methodological naturalism. Essentially, you're saying the practical framework of my life is I'm going to act as if only the natural world exists until such time as I'm given other information. But then you said, if all religious claims are fallacious or unsound, you shouldn't include the word all there, because I don't know how you have the ability or time or even an understanding of all religious claims to demonstrate that they are in fact fallacious or unsound. But there are definitely religious claims which you may not be able to show are fallacious or unsound. There are unfalsifiable propositions. And so when you say, every time we found a cause, it isn't magic, it would be a fallacy for you to say, because every time we've found a cause, it's not ever been magic. Therefore, all future discovered causes will also not be magic. That would be fallacious. That would be like the black swan fallacy. Because every swan we've found so far is white, that means there are no black swans. That would be what you're doing. And so you're right in the
Okay.
practical, pragmatic sense of, it's like the guy that showed up to Saturday, Posh showed up to Saturday's debate saying, I don't debate atheists, I debate materialists. Aren't you a materialist, Matt? And I had to give this explanation of under which criteria I am a materialist, under which I'm not. It's the same thing there. And so just avoid the fallacy of what you're doing there is very tempting, and it's intuitively something we all reach to. It's like, certainly by now, if there was some magic, we'd know. And you're right. I think that's the case. And it's one of the reasons why the argument of divine hiddenness is my favorite. It's like, if there's a God out there, he's the world champion at hide and go seek, and he's intentionally putting up roadblocks to discovering his own existence. But you have to be careful that you don't extrapolate from what's happened so far and then do what the theists often do, which is, well, certainly we would know by now. Certainly we should know by now. Look at how far science has come. If it were possible for this to happen in a genome, why haven't we replicated it in the lab? We've been working on this for at least 50 years. Why haven't we cracked 7 million years of evolution in the last 50 years of scientific inquiry into this particular genetic thing? And so just make sure you're not doing that.
Okay.
If you go back to earlier in
Thank
my
you.
call when I was, if you go back earlier in the show when I was talking about truth seeking, being if you in these conversations, if you want to be known as a truth seeker, unfortunately, if you want to say philosophical naturalism is my position, that's one of those ones that becomes a Christian then can dismiss everything you say because they think that you are begging the question at that point, and they're not wrong. If you're dismissing it outright, then you're putting the conclusion into your premise. And so I would just, if especially in conversations, I
Mm,
would discourage taking that position.
okay. Yeah, I'm committing the same sin that a presuppositionalist does.
In a small way. I mean, you might have justification for it, but again, if you're truth seeking and you declare up front that, nothing can show me that there is a supernatural, even if there is one, it's problematic for a truth seeker.
Mm, okay. Thank you.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks, Aaron. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.